Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first Segue Saturday. It was originally going to be Segue Sundays, but Sundays got shot, so it's Segue Saturdays. Hope you like that. And it's not Segue as in Segue like the thing you ride on, but as in leading into the next week or the next month or whatever. Basically talking a review about the previous week, the stuff we've gone through, the things we've seen, and a chance to have a live show again regularly where we give you the chance to be able to come on and ask us questions, talk with us, bring us your problems. I've actually been asked several times if we're ever going to have that ability again. And with the scheduling being the way it was the last several months and us trying to roll out some of these new shows where we script it, which has really been fun. I really enjoyed, especially the Amityville one. We sort of got lost in the middle of doing all of this. So this is your chance to come and talk to us. If we don't get many people coming or many people talking, that's fine today, but we're going to have this hopefully regularly every Saturday from here forward. So we've got Aisha today. Sonia's working. They called her in last minute because why not? They say we're going to cut her hours back and they lean on her heavily. And Joel's off today. So hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
So now I think the theme of today's show is going to be, please, parents with your gifted children, take care of them, because if we go back to last Saturday when they released the Ghost Adventures for, what was it, the Enchanted Forest?
Yeah, the Enchanted Forest near Salem, Oregon.
Right. That was the one where Joel bumped into Zach and the crew because he was eating at a restaurant nearby, which was it, Elk Grove or something?
I was in Salem, and there was passing through Salem as well. And
right.
Yeah, he was.
And Zach apparently this was in order so that they could go to this amusement park, which they said looks really creepy, which I hadn't had really any problem with looking at any of the pictures. And it was all about how this place seemed to be infested with things or inhabited. And I was surprised that they actually hit the nail right on the head. They say, oh, these kids come in here and their imagination creates these things and they come to life if enough people believe in it. And blah. Yeah, that's exactly the case. Kids can actually give life. You can create a thought form, and some of these things can come to life. And they were never ghosts. They're not demons. They can manifest themselves on the phenomena, can show up on cameras, and they did show quite a few of them. And what's really funny about it was that Aisha had a similar situation happen to her over the last 7 days with a kid who was probably about as nice as Bill Mooney's character from the Twilight Zone, where they sends all the people off to the cornfield.
Yes.
Oh, so good.
You know, they actually made a sequel to that in the later Twilight Zone series in the early aughties, believe it or not, with Bill Mooney's actual daughter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a really cool episode, which is called It's Still a Nice Town, or Still Nice Here, and they actually shot it in the same town and everything. Brought back Cloris Leachman to play his mom. Was interesting. So aside from all of that fluff, so Aisha, why don't you tell everybody what happened?
Oh, man, I'm telling you, I'm just walking around my house, and I just kept on hearing, it was at nighttime, I kept on hearing like 4 sets of foot just running behind me. And I'm seeing shadows on the side of my eye running. I thought it was my daughters playing. I was like, forget them. At first I said, forget them the first time I saw it. But the footsteps were heavy, you know, as if it don't sound like children, you know. So I thought it was my husband. And to me, it sounded like he was on his knees and hands, because I still heard 2 sets of footprints. I was like, either it's my daughters, and they have on, I thought she had on these little play high heel shoes that she played with, because I'm hearing it, you know, sound a little heavy. And every time I turn around, all I see is the shadow run to the right hand side, and I'm like, I thought they went to the bathroom or whatever. I run to the bathroom, and I was like, okay, I don't see nobody in the bathroom. Maybe I'm hearing things. I go back to the kitchen again, and when I heard it the last time, I went running directly to the front room because I wanted to see where they were. They sitting down on the bed playing the game, nice and comfortable. My husband laying down in his bed snoring, and I'm like, are you guys playing with me? Y'all keep coming running to the kitchen or whatever. Nope. And I was like, And I started thinking, my daughter had just told me that this little girl who had spent all week with us had just told me that this little girl told her that I wish your mother was dead. And I was like, okay. I said, I know we had a water protection over the door, but the fact of the matter is I brought the girl in the house. So I'm pretty sure if she know how to do anything, I'm the one who would help bring it in by bringing her in here. I say, I hate to do this to him because I know he think I'll only call him whenever I need him, but I got to send this text. And I text you. I said, I'm sorry to bother you. How you doing? Can you please check my house? And when I sent you the address, she was like, did you move? I said, no, it's the same address. I just want to make sure you remember. Oh, I remember it. Now look, hold on 1 second. Let me check it out. And I was like, okay. And then I started explaining to you, why I asked you to check it out, because I didn't want you to think that I was just, somebody paranoid and, asking you to check every 5 minutes or so. And I let you know what I had gone through with the little girl, and by her saying, I wish your mother was dead. You stated, you say, wait a minute, a child said that? How old was she? That's the text you sent back. How old was she? Like, you were shocked. I say, she's 11. It's like, oh, wait, oh, no, hold on 1 second. Wait a minute. I'm checking something out, right? Wait a minute. Something is in your house. Hold on 1 second. Let me check it out. And I was like, I knew it. So when you sit here and started telling me what was going on, you say, wait a minute, and I say, well, tell Jemima I said hi. Look, I don't have time to tell Jemima I say hi right now. I'm fighting. I'm fighting.
Now, here's the next part. So I have to draw in the rest of it, because she didn't tell me it was 4 feet running behind her. I thought it was just one person.
I say my daughters. I said daughters.
Well, you said daughters, but I'm thinking it's just one set of feet running up on you at any given time, right? So when I look in here,
each of them got their own feet.
I come into to Jemima. Jemima's freaking out. Jemima is her family's hearth spirit, and she's telling me, she's complaining about how the house is a mess, right? And I asked her, what's the problem? And I look in out of the kitchen and to the right, there's like hoof prints all over the floor, the ceiling, the walls, right? And there's this big ass billy goat to the right of the door, way down the end of the hall. And I'm like, what the hell is that doing in here? And I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to be getting a goat somebody put in here out of here. And then the goat stood up. Okay. Now I'm freaking out because I'm thinking, it's a demon. Finally, I'm seeing shit like Zach Bagans. And Jemima starts screaming her head off about getting it out of here. And it got really tall. And it was, it went from being normal billy goat colors to being bluish and red, and it's like, I'm going, a deep voice. I'm thinking, no, we're not playing this Evil Dead crap. No, we got to take care of this. So once I was done and I asked her, so how old was the child? She says 11, right? Now we just got through doing a lot of stuff on research on when girls hit 11 years old. Why? Because they're either just beginning to enter menses or they've had their first period. And girls at that age have this sudden boom, they take off. Their psychic abilities, if they've got them, launch into the air. This is where the time period for girls where they can sometimes manifest poltergeists. Now, you rarely get this from boys, but you can very often times when there's a poltergeist, an 11 to 14-year-old girl who's just about to have her first period is right in the middle of it, because they start giving off so much energy, or they start and that's what this girl was. This girl apparently came into the home and just said, I don't like you, nice lady, and did the talking Tina and left behind the evil goat for Sean to freak out over. Because that thing, I don't mind telling you, that thing scared me at first until we started trading blows. And then I realized this thing was far from dangerous. Uh-oh. Joel got disconnected. So it was far from dangerous. And once I got it out of there, it was more a matter of passing on messages like how long they had been there, and telling Aisha, don't let this girl back in your house, because Jemima says it. And I can't say it with the Creole accent, but you can imagine this. Don't you let that girl back up in here.
I can imagine it because my grandmother's talk like that.
It was, she's, I don't want to back up and yeah, okay.
But when you put on there, it wasn't really challenging and it wasn't funny, but it was fun though because I hadn't had nothing to do in a while. I'm like, what is he talking about, man? I'm going through this and he's talking about it's fun to him.
Yeah. Well, because I haven't
like,
had.
Whoa, that was fun.
That was exciting. That was actually quite thrilling.
That's what you said. Yeah, that's what you said. It was exciting. I was like, what the hell? What is he talking about?
At first, I thought it was going to be something dangerous.
Not funny. Yeah, you said not funny. Not challenging, but it was exciting. I'm like, okay. I'm going through it, but it's exciting to him. He must have not had to have any entertainment in the past couple of days.
Not like this. At first, I thought it was something really dangerous, and then I thought, oh, I'm in trouble now. And then it started. We started to tussle, and I realized, oh, this isn't that bad at all. I've actually played kiddie video games that were worse. So it was more my imagination that it was going to, because I'm looking at it and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be bad. I mean, look, when you suddenly facing a 9 foot tall, and that's not including the horns, thing that starts looking at you and saying, reciting lines from the Evil Dead, I'll swallow your soul. You're not really thinking that this is going to not be dangerous. And then once the tussle starts, you realize that I'm Muhammad Ali, and this is like a 90-pound 80-year-old that I'm fighting. Okay, so we're talking completely overmatched. It was bad. But I was so freaked out, I was giving it everything I had, so the thing never had a chance to do more than just go and throw a couple of scrapes at me, which I hate to say this. Sorry, but my 7-year-old son Eric launches energy with more impact than this guy does. Okay, I know because I tell people off air, my son is practicing his energy moving against my head all the time. Yeah. Welcome back, Joel. What happened?
I don't know. I just caught a quick boot. So I'm back. I have no idea what happened. The computer just decided it was time to knock me off the internet so it can update itself. So I'm waiting for. I'm using my phone right now. My computer's updated. So.
Okay. Well, so we're just having a good old laugh about the mutton steaks that attacked me.
Oh yeah, I know. I heard most of it, and I was gonna ask you if it was the same kind of sensation as the cat thing. Like, oh, there's a goat in their house. Why is that goat in their house? There's no goat here.
Well, actually, in this case, because I know there's not supposed to be a goat there because there's never been one before, and Jemima is wringing her hands and she's upset, right? Jemima is the sweetest being I know next to Chunk, right? She's extremely sweet. So when she's distressed, I get distressed. So I'm worried what she's upset about. I said, get that thing up out of here, right? And I said, what? And we both lean into through the doorway. You know what doorway, right? Out of the kitchen, Aisha. And she turns my head to the right. She actually puts her hands on my head and turns my head. She goes, that thing. And I was like, it's just a goat.
Right.
What's a goat doing in
the
here?
AC. I say you can see directly into the attic from there. When you was telling me about stairs, I'm like, yeah, I can actually climb up on top of that thing and get in there. When you told me it ran to the right, I was like, oh, that's how it got up there. Open that door. Yes.
So I was just so surprised. I was so surprised. It's not like with the cat that, it looked like it belonged because, a cat inside a house is different. I know Aisha does not keep wildlife in her house. So it wasn't that big of a surprise. The big surprise was there's a goat in here.
Yeah. Nice.
I don't. Every couple of weeks, it's something new. It's like that expectation barrier you have, Sean. You need to just take it down. Just take it down because things are going to knock it down anyway. Just take it down, right?
It's true.
It's a goat. What's it going to be next time, right? It's going to be a walking, talking doll or a
whatever
robot.
It is. I'm gonna keep people out of my house because I don't want to keep on bothering you about it. But when you sit up here and talk about it, it was exciting. I was like, okay.
Well, it was
Maybe.
after the fear had passed, and I realized I definitely outclassed it by far. It was not even. I'm not trying
A
to toot
challenge.
my own
That's what
horn.
you
It wasn't.
said.
It
Yeah.
wasn't a challenge. It wasn't a problem, but it was definitely exciting because it scared me at first, and then I realized it's almost like I went in loaded for bear, and it was just a blow up doll. You know, just one of those things that you
Yeah.
like the blow up clowns, and you punch them, and they bop back and come back. You know, that kind of thing. So.
And when you said that's why I said, look, he clowning with me. Let me actually call him. I ain't got time to be texting. What is you talking about? You know. And he was like, "Oh man, that was fun. I hadn't had that fun in a while. What is wrong with you? I'm going through this craziness. It's fun."
Yeah, our ideal is fun. It's a lot different from most people's ideal of fun.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You guys are crazy. I'm trying to join the family. I'm trying to get my. That's why I had to ask him. Wait a minute. The fact that I actually saw it, and I actually can hear it like I did. Does that mean my abilities are getting better? And he was like, "Yes." I was like, "Oh
Yes.
yeah, I'm gonna be in the family real soon."
It's
already
not
are,
going
you
to
just
take much
didn't know
longer
it
before
yet.
you get.
It sounds like fun. Yeah.
Well, then
Yeah.
you probably be able to get it out of the house all on your own because it probably, knowing you, it'd stand up and start acting like it was hi Diane, acting like it was a demon, and you go, "What are you doing in my house? Messing up my house? Get out my house!" You just walk them out. I know
telling
you.
you.
Hey D, you can turn
me
off
and
the
Jemima
camera.
gonna be having a lot of fun.
She's got recipes she wants to teach. Hey Joel, did she ever? She said
Oh man,
she
that's
was
what I'm
there and she
saying.
said
I
she
love
wanted to
that.
teach you stuff. What happened? I didn't even get a report on that.
Oh, yeah, about that. She comes through every now and then and gives me inspiration for my cooking for the family. And I've turned out a lot of really really good dishes. Really good
Well, don't
dishes.
tease us. What recipes did she? What was one of them?
Oh, she did. It was more of a technique more than she's teaching me more techniques than she is recipes.
Uh huh.
So like now when I'm working my grill a lot better. I'm getting much better results on my grill. Okay,
I
Sean, did
can't
you
wait.
hear that?
Yeah,
Did
that's
you?
Look,
the
I
echo
hear
was.
echo and
Yeah, that was
like a little,
Diane.
yeah.
I
Okay.
muted her. I think she's trying to figure out how
Okay.
to turn off the camera.
Yeah,
But go
I think
ahead.
it's off now. It went black now. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it looks like she
So
covered it with her keyboard. That's what I worry about because that's not really
Oh,
turning off the
okay.
camera.
Oh, okay.
And earbuds usually
Well, at
help
least
so
you
we
don't
don't
see
hear
anything.
reverb. So okay, so she's more about technique. Okay,
she's
see, there's the
teaching me.
camera.
She's teaching me technique. Uh, the and like the last time she got me, it was I was doing teriyaki chicken. I had made some teriyaki marinade with some sake and some stuff I have laying around the house. And then I
I'm
had
jealous.
started grilling the chicken, and she was like, it was like, well, put the zucchini under the chicken so I can collect the juices and season the zooks. I was like, oh yeah, yeah. She was like, now move it over to the cool side. It's about done. It's enough direct heat, so let's get some indirect heat. Okay. It's just like walked me through the whole thing, and it came out like perfectly glazed. The zucchinis were perfectly done. They weren't overdone, but they still had like a little
Sounds
crispness
good.
to it.
See, that's one of the things that
Yeah.
you don't hear about. Most people say, "Oh, I talked to my spirit this," and they told me the end of the world's coming. It's that kind of thing gets them on TV, right? You don't hear about. There's a hearth spirit that helped me make sure that my chicken and zucchini came out fantastic, right? Number one, people think that's going to be BS because it's more likely that they're going to tell you about the end of the world or some disaster because
They
whatever,
only believe the worst.
right? Because that's the only time they'll ever talk to you. And two, it sounds too crazy that they actually would care how you eat.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
other
no.
thing, the other thing is I am getting the urge to brew again, but now I have it's like it's gonna be more than just making these wonderful flavored beverages. It's gonna be about adding herbs in it to help with certain things for certain people. So I'm not sure, but we got the lavender out there. And as soon as that starts blooming again, I have a feeling that I'm gonna be infusing some of my ginger beer or my mead with lavender and rosemary. I'm gonna end up buying some rosemary bushes.
So, all you got to do is get the seeds, man. Your backyard will grow it like crazy.
Yeah. So
Well, you had the camera turned off for a second there, D. Now you just gotta do it again and unmute yourself. So anyway, in my backyard, I got the pumpkins are growing, the honeybees are thirsty and they're coming around to we got hummingbirds galore. You know, even though I'm in the middle of the desert, I got my little patch of oases for all of these animals to come to. And oh, Joel, okay, the day I came up there last, before I got there, what happened? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I'm outside. We just potted our gardens out in these oak barrels, and I'm out there. I'm looking at the garden, and I see on the ground over in my backyard a hawk eating a freshly caught male. I think it was a Harris hawk. Wasn't super big, but it wasn't really small.
Yeah, the Harris hawk is my totem, one of my totems.
So I'm sitting there, I'm looking at it, and it just looks at me, it continues to eat, and then it flies up onto our shed, and it continues to eat a little bit, and then it flies in the tree, and it just hangs out in the tree, just looking at me while it's eating. I was like, yes, I know. Sean's coming. Should be here tomorrow. Got you, thank you. And for that day, the next day, and the day after, it was just like flying around near our backyard, just using our yard for a hunting ground. It's pretty great.
Yeah, hold on a second, Diane. Now all you got to do is click the little button on the screen that's for the microphone that will unstrike it so that you can speak. You got the camera shut off. Now all you got to do is just turn the mic back on. Now you turn the camera back on, but the mic's still off.
Yeah. And we can see your forehead. But my friend that I was telling you about, the elder that I was trying to talk to about this situation before I actually saw the goat or whatever. She was telling me when I called you about it, she was telling me, she said, wait a minute, so did you say this or did he say this or whatever? Oh, now we can hear. Hi.
Yeah. Can you put in some earbuds? That way we won't hear ourselves reverberating back.
Yeah, because I do hear that.
Try and find some. Hang on.
Okay. So go ahead.
She might want to put it on mute until she finds some.
No, just let it go because it's easier to just plug the darn things in. Okay. So,
Thanks. But she was asking me because she said usually when she talked to people who claim to know things like that she would tell, they'll be like, okay, when they ask her a question, she said, well, you're the one who know, you go ahead and tell me. She say she don't really believe that until she hear them say totally everything that they need to say, because she don't want me helping. I say, well, this was a situation where I need help, and plus I already know this guy. I say, so basically that's what made me start telling him that, look, I had a little girl in my house and she said she wished I was dead or whatever, because she wanted to know why I gave you that much before you told me, the things that you told me. Look, I don't have time to play, and I already know this guy. I'm sorry if you don't believe it. Maybe next time I'll shut up and let him do what he does. But the problem is, even times when I do shut up and we're just on camera, this guy is telling me about, I'm sorry to bother you, but Jemima is telling me about some shoes that your husband bringing in the house. I say, trust me, I didn't tell him about these shoes that, so I know what I'm talking about here. These shoes stink. Tell him stop bringing these shoes in the house. I was like, I can't believe she's telling you all my business. Oh God. So I know who it is, and I didn't have time to wait to find out whether, being that I know you already. If it was somebody new, yeah, I would have shut up and let you say everything yourself. But no, being that I know you, I have to, kind of put you in on it. You even told me, look, shut up right now. I'm doing something. I'm fighting. You know, I don't need you talking no more. Just you the one told me shut up. Could you stop texting? I'm fighting. I don't have time to text you back.
Oh, I didn't
Bye.
say shut up. I said 1 sec. 1 sec. No, I don't say shut up.
Pretty much. But,
1
you
sec.
know, now you're right. But that's where I took it. Like, wait a minute, okay. Let me be quiet. Let him do what he's doing.
Especially since it scared me so bad at first.
You said it in a nice way, so that way, anytime people call you, they'll know that you didn't say shut up. But you know,
yeah, if you say that, people will be like, "Oh, you gotta tell me that."
Yeah, no, he gonna talk to me like that. I'm not gonna be calling him. But no, he's the nicest person, and you know, he didn't say shut up. But that's the way I took it. Like, okay, let me be quiet, because you was like, okay, 1 sec. I don't have time to tell her hi. I'm fighting here. You know.
Yeah, I put on some music and immediately went after this thing. It was not it was amusing at the end. One of the things I found is and this is going to be another one of these things where people are going to say you're stroking your own ego. When I would get into fights and you know, because I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and when I was a bouncer, one of the things that it's funny. During the fight, you're really intense, you're really worried, you're not really enjoying it. Then afterward, it's like, wow, I came out of that one completely unscathed. That was pretty exciting. Now that I get to go back and review it in a dispassionate, frame of mind. After a fight,
exactly.
your brain goes like, geez, I was like John Wayne going into the bar and kicking ass. That was fun. See, afterwards, it's fun. When you're in the middle of it, it's not so much fun. We're not like Goku from Dragon Ball, where it's like, it's all exciting, Gohan. I really like that fight. So, so back to the Ghost Adventures from last week, which was all about the same kind of thing. The entire park is loaded with kids' energy, some of their fears, things. It's interesting because the lady who doesn't want to go into the haunted house in this amusement park had the same situation happening to her. She always feels like she was being approached. Something was walking up on her. The same kind of thing that you were going through. And now I have to take people's word for this, because I actually fell asleep in the middle of the episode, because I'm looking and I'm going, the background count here says there's no ghosts. There's no ghosts in this whole place. I'm telling my wife that. And she says, are you going to be okay? And then next thing she knows, I'm going to... And sure enough, she gets to the end of the episode. She says, yeah, there was no ghost. There was manifestations. And they were talking about the kids were making stuff show up. Like, see, it's harmless. It's just kids' fears manifesting in these scary places and poking people and making visual disturbances in the air. That was all. Now, that is not as bad as what you were going through, because that girl probably has been doing this a while. And this is an accumulation in this park of kids, getting scared or having a good time, and in some cases, good things showing up. Like in this one place, it's like a laser tag version of the Battle of Mordor, where they ride the ride and they shoot the targets and stuff. And it's designed to look like the Lord of the Rings as closely as possible without getting the crap suit out of them. So that was an interesting thing. And they actually had energy disturbances in the ride when it was off that showed up on camera. So I think that was pretty cool. Hi, Dee.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Sort of. You might want to turn your sound up a little.
I don't know how to do all this. I just got this thing, you know.
Well, one day I'll walk you through it a bit, but if you got earbuds in and it's got you should be able to turn the sound.
I got a headphone and I got a headphone with a microphone, but there's only one jack. Okay,
if you get closer to the iPad, it might be using that microphone instead of the one on.
God, these headphones, I gotta change them. These are.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. Let me see. Is this any better?
It sounds like you're getting closer to the iPad.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to have to take it out of its thing and get really close, I guess, for you to hear me very well.
Okay.
I can't leave it in its thing. Okay, hello there.
Hi.
How's this?
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry. Okay, so Diane, this is Aisha. Aisha has been with us for quite a while. She had lots of latent abilities, but her mother convinced her to get rid of them, and now they're coming back. And her youngest daughter also shares her gifts. And you already know Joel and myself.
Right.
Yeah, Aisha came onto the Paranormal Portal show once to talk to people there because I told her about the show after I discovered it, and she came on there weeks ago, I believe.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
For me, I came on to the Paranormal Portal actually after somebody said it was after one of the other shows and said, we're going to this show. Do you want to come along? And okay, you know. So yeah, then we started talking on Paranormal Portal. Yeah. Yeah.
Diane's been active since what was it? That major accident, the first one, or?
I died on the same day that the first space shuttle blew up. Whichever day that is now, because it's been Mandela'd a couple of times.
Oh, that would be Challenger 1982, 84. Geez, I can't remember. We got a street out here named for it.
32, 33 years when I calculated it lately. We're coming up on 33 years, which has got to be something significant. And I haven't quite figured out the significance of it yet, but it is a master number, so.
86. It was 1986. My bad.
86, yeah.
Yeah, STS 51L.
Well, then it hasn't changed since the last time I checked, but it has changed a few times, and even people have even found the crew or somebody with the same name who looks just like them alive and posted it.
That's disturbing.
That's very disturbing. Now, if that's Mandela effect, it's getting weirder. If it's not a Mandela effect and it was just a false flag all along, that's really sick.
It's one of those things where Joel, this is the reason why I think it was 87, Joel and 87 or 88, Joel and I decided that peering over the edges into other dimensions was not a good idea anymore, because you start to get too slippery. And because this is back before they actually named it the Mandela effect. I remember I remember them saying that, Nelson Mandela died in jail, and then several years later they released him. I said, "The hell, didn't he die?" But before that, we had signed off on doing any more of the peering over the edges because it was a bad idea, because we realized that we were noticing day-to-day little changes in our world. Well, and it would be like things would disappear. Things that we knew we'd done had been undone. Homework that was done suddenly became not done. Undone homework was suddenly completed. I'm like, when the hell did I ever do this?
Well, see, as far as choosing to peer into other dimensions, I was not consciously doing that I'm aware of. However, since I died and returned, my explanation for it is very different than that. My explanation for it is you get to a point, and maybe by doing all this peering, you are getting to that point. But what is actually happening, I think, is that we are always moving between dimensions. We're always moving between realities and possibilities and probabilities, but we fill in the gaps. Our brains fill in the gaps. Our minds are programmed to do that. And maybe it's a combination of both of these things. But I wasn't consciously trying to do anything like that. And it still was happening to me for the last 33 years. Okay, ever since I died. Now, what I think happened to me, in my case, and there may be different cases, but what I think happened to me is my filters got damaged. The filters that actually filter out more than they let in, which is our five senses. You realize, of course, our five senses actually filter out most of reality so that we are focused on in a certain way. When something happens to alter or distort that, that's when we start getting different perceptions. And some of our perceptions, our different perceptions, are going to be building up due to the fact that we are getting back some of our previously dormant senses that we used to have that we don't use anymore. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, so it might be either a combination of the two, or it might be, but it seems to me like what is happening is as the veil thins, more and more people are noticing discrepancies. And, okay, according to a channeled entity, if you want to believe him, Bashar, Daryl Ankus' future self, we're in a film strip kind of reality. Every single decision we make puts us into another probability. So it really doesn't matter. You're going to be in another probability every time you make a decision. So the apple that you see on the table is not the same as the apple that you start to reach for. And the one that you pick up is a different apple. And the one that you take a bite into is a different apple. And he proved it one time to himself by saying, okay, I'm going to make this apple, the apple that's in my hand, look really different. And it did. It changed. So it is a different, he said, the thing is, we're not used to making our reality so different that we notice it. But when we do notice it, is usually, how did he put it? If we would make it, if we would try to make our realities very different, if we could learn to do that, we would notice it. We would notice all the discrepancies. Well, my reality changed drastically the day I died and returned. So I don't know. Were my filters, do you think my filters were damaged? Or maybe something was opened up, maybe something was restored, maybe something was, you know, maybe it was just that everything was so different anyway that I just started noticing. I don't know.
Well, I wanted to share with everybody this because we're going to be sending this to Diane, which is, we've nicknamed it the Eye, in order to help with.
It's really cool looking.
Yeah, this is when Joel was working on it. My sons and I juiced it up. This is, I think, before Joel had sealed all of the Reiki symbols to it and put that hiding ability on there. But so let's see, showing that. Is that showing up on the picture, or is it just doing picture in picture?
Oh, it's doing picture
It's showing
in picture.
up.
Now it's showing up.
There we go. Okay, so that's.
Oh man, I thought that was my computer messing up. I'm in here trying to fix it. I said, what did I press? What is this thing coming up? I didn't know that was you. I'm in here trying to fix my computer.
There it is.
Out, but I was like, what is that?
Well, that's that.
And then
that's
I saw Joel's name on there. I said, Joel's name in my photo file. What is that? Where'd it come from?
And that's the Eye. And we also, with Karen, we were cleaning up the some of the stuff in the pictures we had. I had actually discovered an old picture that my wife had taken of. Actually, let me see if I could share this real quick. Okay. Okay. This is my. See, start screen sharing. This is my eldest son, Trevor, when he was just a few, I think it's a few days old, maybe a week old. And let's see, move back to this was him awake. My wife tried to take a picture of him, and my grandfather, who'd been watching over him, didn't want the flash in his eyes. As you can see, the big shadow here. Because my mom had a big thing about taking pictures of us as kids, and my grandfather hated that. So he would constantly block my eyes to keep me from getting the flash. So I'm going to go to the next one. And this is another one. Now you can actually see his arm because he actually dove in front to stop her. Now these are the pictures when my wife takes a picture of a ghost. This is how it comes out. We have more of these. We just have to unearth them somewhere. But that's the picture. She was going to take a picture, and Trevor was playing with his mobile and in his crib. And my grandfather was adamant about don't ever take pictures of babies while they're sleeping or doing their thing, because, especially with me, it disturbed my eyes so much that I would cry. And so he never stopped, as you can see, even with my eldest son protecting. Did you guys see those?
So are you saying that your grandfather was there in the background, or
no,
that
in the
shadow
foreground?
Was him
that shadow is him stopping the photo.
Right.
See,
so he wasn't living at the time.
no, he's been dead since I was 17, 18.
I thought that was somebody in the background just making a shadow or something. I didn't know.
No, there's nothing.
Okay, now.
That's the flash. There was no way it could have. He stopped it from going through. That's why the shadow appeared across but there's no physical anything there.
Ian, you remember saying that the stuff that we sent you had somebody's hand over it? Remember those photos?
Sorry, what
We sent you some photos of phenomena in the kitchen.
Yeah, I didn't see any.
You said you couldn't see anything because somebody's hand or something was covering the picture.
Yeah, there was it looked like there was like I could see fingers in front of a couple of the pictures.
Guess what? We didn't do that, and it didn't come out that way on our end. Yes, so that came out on your end that way.
So that's why I'm grateful we got that.
Something going on there.
That's why I figured because you were dealing with stuff that was bad. I was going to nail down the protection circle to the corners. Here's something that a lot of people don't understand about metaphysical negative things. To a metaphysical negative thing, a corner is actually a wide open door. Now I know you guys are going to go, how do you wrap your brain around that one? I don't know. I don't even know how to do. All I know is that corners to a metaphysical creature is like an actual open doorway. It's like, think of it as it's open for them. It's not really a corner. It's an opening. And the angle for them doesn't exist because in their dimension, where they come from, right angles of that type don't exist like that, and they can just walk right through them. And so when you're dealing with negative metaphysical things rather than positive ones, because they will adjust themselves to our dimension before coming in, they just go, screw it, I'm going to bash right through because screw reality, and I can do it. I can come in like a bull charging through the left-hand wall because this is a Colt 45 commercial. You know?
Yeah, we just call it a Miley Cyrus rule.
Come in like a wrecking
ball.
Oh my God. That is quite an image I want to get out of my mind again. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Tongue hanging out, sliming through the corner of your house. It's always great.
So Aisha wanted to know if we wanted to have the daughter's explanation of how the girl looked when she said she wished she'd die. The explanation you gave me said Bill Mooney in that Twilight Zone episode, but go ahead, Aisha.
Okay. Hold on. He wants you to explain it. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. The way how she did it when we was like under or like on the floor, she told me I wish your mother was dead. She had like a creepy face, like a demon face on. I was so scared. I said, I know I love my mother the way anything she does. I just love her. That's why I told her when she put the demon face on her. It was scary when that happened.
Well, just remember that I'm around, so that the next time one of them wants to drop some livestock in your house that's metaphysical, I'll take care of it. Promise. But next time, Aisha, please tell me sooner rather than later. Tell your mom that. You know, the first time you start hearing the feet running around, I want to take care of it.
Yeah, don't wait. Don't wait till the next day.
Don't wait a few days.
Yeah, and the other advice is don't invite in people that have voodoo roots.
It's hard to know. I mean, you were talking. This is. She lives near New Orleans, for crying out loud.
Oh yeah, well then in that case, forget it. You ain't gonna do that. You ain't gonna be able to do it.
You're gonna run into them every couple of people for sure.
Every place has voodoo roots.
It's not so much that it's a bad thing to let people in that have voodoo roots.
the girl said.
Yeah, fine.
Bye.
tell-
Bye.
Bye, sweetie.
No, I love my
But
mother.
Bye bye.
She went back on again and said that I want her dead.
you need to make sure that they have good intentions, that they're good people.
Yeah.
Not
And that
people
is hard to
associate
do,
voodoo
though,
with
hon.
people associate voodoo with bad things, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It
How
really
you
isn't.
use it.
It's nothing to do with being bad. In fact, in
No.
order to
Yep.
get voodoo to allow you to do horrible bad things, like most of the other abilities out there, whether it's shamanism, thaumaturgy, any of those things, you really have to bend the rules and take a lot of suffering on your own chin, or figure out if there's some way that you can get someone else to front the bill for you. That's the truth about in a major way about voodoo. If you get someone else to say that they'll agree to take the consequences for you for what you doing a bad thing, then they're like, oh, hey, I've got the carte blanche to write a check as big as I want because this person's going to pay the bill.
So basically, that's part of this agreement contract sort of thing.
Yeah,
We hear
that's
about.
yeah, that's what you hear an awful lot of times in people who are saying, well, if you voodoo witch doctor said, or doctor witch whatever says we do this, here you write, you sign this contract and I can do this for you. Don't ever. None of the good ones are ever going to say sign this contract. That contract is you saying I'm going to pay the bill when it comes due, and you don't want that.
Well, here's the
So
thing,
when
is-
people go up to when people go up to a voodoo person and like being mean and know that that's a voodoo person, and they say, look, I want to pay you to do this to somebody, immediately they're taking the foot of the bill. If they just paid them for it, they know
Yes.
for sure that something will come back on. Well, they don't know, but the voodoo people know that if I was just paid for it, they just ask me to do it. If something bad comes up, you go back to them.
Yes,
That's what it
Yeah.
does. Okay.
you basically put yourself
Well,
right in
that's
the tube
good.
to get hit.
Yeah, curses
Yeah, that's
are
good.
like that. And I tell people I don't do curses. You're going to have to go to somebody down the street, okay? But I just don't do them. But up here, instead of voodoo, you get voodoo up here too, oddly enough. But,
Diane, get closer to the pad.
You get voodoo too up here, oddly enough. And of course, I lived in New Orleans for a little while. Not very long, but long enough to learn a few things about it. And but up here, you get a lot of Satanism, really, unfortunately. We used to have more witches, but witches people get confused about witches too,
Mm-hmm.
and shamanics and everything else. It has been very confused. So, I mean, every single practice has been kind of corrupted. The information about it has been corrupted. So, I wasn't saying, but if you have a bad intention and you're a magical person, let me put it this way. If you're a magical person with magical roots and you have a dark intention, you can throw that without even knowing you're doing it.
Yeah, which is what the kid did.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that is the reason why I think the secular stuff has been so prevalent, is because they don't want people to know what they're doing. They want people to be stupid, right?
Right.
Because then we'll get ourselves in trouble, right?
Right.
We'll do stupid stuff to each other without knowing we're even doing it, right? And
Yeah.
what does that do? Create confusion and dissension and separation and blah de blah, and more control by the people who do know what's going on. Okay,
Yeah.
because they know what's going on.
Yeah.
See, here's the exact opposite of what this girl was doing with the gifts that she'd probably inherited from her mom, or maybe even her dad. I'd be willing to wager it was her dad, but didn't know it because dad's not in the picture, right? Like my youngest is learning how to move his energy around, and so he's walking around the house playing Harry Potter with his wand, and he's hitting me with what he's throwing. And after he's doing it for a while, I'll tell him it's time to stop. It's time to stop, right? So that I said, and he knows not to do it outside of the house ever. But I'll usually end up chasing him around the house and then tickling him. So did I tell you to stop? Didn't I tell you to stop? Right? And tickling him on his bed. So, but this girl didn't get that from mom. Obviously, dad's not in the picture. Nobody's telling them about their abilities. how much better is it if the kid grows up knowing their own, I wouldn't say power, but knowing themselves as well as they should, inside, outside, metaphysically, physically, right? This is something that really is a good idea for a child to grow up knowing, to have within their sphere as they grow.
Well, ideally, that's exactly what we'd have. I mean, in older cultures, that is what we had. I mean, you learned everything at your parents' knee. And I mean, there are still cultures that do it that way. But in our culture, we send our kids to school. And we are also even punished if we try to, culturally, you're not really even, you're even looked at funny if you tell your kid that there is such a thing as something outside of what they're teaching them in school, like magic, like, life after death, like, they want everything to be secular humanist, which is absolute BS because, I mean, that was a lot of Einstein's problem. He couldn't solve his final problems, like the double slit experiment, what happened, the spooky action at a distance, because he couldn't figure in consciousness as part of the equation, because consciousness is part of the equation. And the people I hear, that the people that really know what's going on, they know consciousness figures into it. A lot of the whistleblowers are starting to say that. Yeah, they know consciousness figures into it. Yeah, they know there's such a thing as magic telepathy and every other darn thing, remote viewing and all of this stuff. They know it. They know it. But they don't want us to know it. Okay? Because then we'd have power. And we wouldn't be doing all this stupid stuff. Or maybe we'd be doing it, but at least a little more consciously, and we'd be going, oh, God, I must have done that. Excuse me. But, it's like really, it pisses me off. It's one of the things that makes me very angry is that you can't even, I'm sure, and I see everybody has to be careful what they say to their own children about their own practices, because they go to school and some idiot decides that they're abusing their kids by giving them this information. I'm like, or that they're satanic or something because they say they're witches, or that they're whatever it is. And you know what? The number one thing that they tried to teach us growing up is, they were trying to be all kumbaya with us, saying, what people think don't matter. Well, it does matter, because what people think can get you killed. Imprisoned, killed, tortured, uh, ostracized. Yeah, it matters what people think. And it matters what people know about these things. That's why I'm really glad to see people putting out the information now, which is why I'm backing Ian's effort here. We need people to start learning how to deal with reality as it really is, not this BS that we've been raised with. Okay? Okay, I'm off my rant now. Thank you.
So, anything else interesting happened to you, Joel?
No, just that the whole episode of the Ghost Adventures. It was interesting to see that finally come on and figure out what they were doing there.
So, like I was telling Aisha, I fell asleep for that. What, you go ahead and throw some of your findings out there, because Karen had to give me the Cliff Notes version at the end, because I'm like, there's no ghosts here.
There's, I would say originally it might not have been, but there was this one event that happened where there was like a little girl that you can hear like audibly, like, and they recorded it. And there was another one where there was like talking to something that was a lady that sounded like it was a mother of somebody from what they said, but there was like definitely a lady's voice in the recording, and it was like they was asking questions and it answered pretty steadily. So I found that interesting. But then again, once you start with something like that, you can actually um, attract other entities, other incorporeal beings to that area. So I'm not sure if that was one of the things that happened, but it was super interesting. Um, just the whole show on that whole thing with the thought forms. They didn't give a name for it. They didn't call the phenomena. It would have been more interesting if they would have did some research and um, gave a little bit more information to the phenomena and explain
Yeah,
why that's the thing.
Well, that's one of the things they're going to eventually stumble into. Remember, I said probably a year ago that if they keep going, they're going to run into elementals. They're going to run into fae folk. They're going to run into thought forms that have been crafted and enlivened, which seems to me that's what they're dealing with there. It's not like the place is haunted because people died there. It's not like there's none of that stuff. No, and they even were reaching at the beginning. So there was a bloody massacre far to the north of here. They say, yeah, okay, we're just really stepping it up to try and we're looking for cause after fact. Just follow where the data leads you. Stop trying to craft the narrative.
Yeah,
we created that whole top. What was it? 10. Wasn't 20. I know we had 20 things we wanted to say, but top 10 recommendations for them for this year. Stop crafting the narrative.
Yeah.
This is one of those occasions. Stop crafting the damn narrative.
Yeah, exactly. But besides that, not much is going on. I will be at some point starting to do some classes on jewelry making. I haven't had a chance to tell you that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so there you might see some different types of pendants and stuff made by me. I'll be posting pictures of that, probably on my Instagram.
And from my eldest son's recommendation, we're going to be making a working tunic for me for when I'm going to places to do work with. Hopefully being able to embroider all of the seals of Solomon that are applicable on it, so I can more easily. One of the problems I have is I can only activate 2 seals at once. That's it. I can maintain probably 6 or 7, but I can only activate 2 at once. And something like this gives me enough of a focus. So until I can figure out how to be able to activate more, it gives me an out. So just to let everybody know, there are certain things even I can't do, so I don't seem like I think I'm the cock of the walk. I'm not. So because of, from the mouths of babes, you oftentimes get inspirations for things. This is one of the things that we're going to be working on in the next, probably 6 weeks. And I'm hoping it's going to work out because I need a working tunic. So I can get out there and do stuff, because we have the jumpsuit for when we're going to get dirty, and then there's the stuff for when we're going to have to clean stuff up, and that's that tunic.
Yeah, they call him the working man. Anyway, dude, you know what? I told you I did costuming and stuff. If you need some help. Oops, Joe got dropped or something.
Yeah, it happens to him pretty regularly when his router decides to go. Well, my roommate Adrian went to fashion design school, so she's able to sew just about anything. So I appreciate the offer. My biggest worry is like the embroidery, because she doesn't know how to do that. I'm going to need to get the seals embroidered into it and figure out where we're going to put them and how.
I know how to embroider. I taught needlecraft for Creative Circle for. I was a circle eater for a couple years or so. But anyway, the other thing I guess you could do, there are places that do embroidery. It's not cheap though. I mean, you draw it out and they do the embroidery for you. I mean, we got one right around here.
Oh, if I could find someplace that makes patches also, I could just put them on in patches. Little patches about the size of a 50-cent piece or a golden dollar or not one of those JFK dollars, but the small.
I can maybe try to help you. If I knew what it was, I could maybe try to help you with because like I said, I know how to embroider. It's just I know how to embroider. I don't actually don't have the equipment anymore, though. I mean, I don't have the yarn, the thread, and the other crap.
See, I had my son look at the symbol that was for learning, which is called the Seal of Mercury, and I didn't ask him. I just said, take a look at it. Tell me what you see. I didn't tell him anything further, right? And he's like, he's squinting at it and he's looking at it. I said, no, don't keep moving your eyes, because that's I know why you're moving your eyes. Just look at it directly in the middle, relax your vision. And he says, it's moving. I said, yes, it keeps drawing itself in, doesn't it? You can see the lines filling themselves out.
I want to see that, so put that in Hangouts.
Oh, hold on. So that's when you actually can utilize the seal. See, that is what you.
Okay.
You bring up the picture here. Images. I want to get an actual one. They bring up these ones that are just drawings. I don't want to. Okay, let me use Google then.
Well, I mean, sometime you don't have to do it this very moment.
I'm going to do it right here so you can see it.
Okay.
Give me a second. Images.
Is it the one with the Hebrew writing on it?
All of them have Hebrew writing on it. They're seals of Solomon.
Yeah, they kind of have to. Unless they.
This is the one I used to wear for the longest time. Let's see. Bring up the big picture. This one is hardly what you'd call a power talisman. That's why I find funny that they call it that. It's for learning. Oh my gosh, they're selling it for $75 now. You guys are, and it's pewter. Shameless. That's shameless. Okay, let me share the screen here. That is the seal of Mercury. If you look at the center,
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
And it keeps drawing itself in. It'll just keep doing it.
It is moving.
Now, to the people that
It's moving.
it's to the average person, the average person who has no gifts, it will not be moving. Believe it or not, it doesn't move at all. But if you have gifts and you're
anyway,
right. But to people who are gifted and it can do something for them, that's the seal of learning, brings you knowledge. And the longer that you have it on, the more aha moments you seem to have.
You're gonna have to get me one.
It's a really good one. I really like that one.
Okay,
I wore it for a long time.
Send that to me so I can find it again, and I'll make one or something.
It makes my third eye go funny.
I used to have to keep it under my shirt so that nobody would go. It's like, what is that? It makes my head spin, right? Just in case, because there's like 1 out of 12 people would say that. And
well, hey, that would be a great way to know who you're dealing with, right?
Right.
I mean, I have some things like that are psychic, that are different kinds of detectors. You know, hey, I just got an idea for a product. Right?
Yep.
We can build different kinds of detectors into something, and then when you show it to people, it's like you can tell what their gifts are or not.
All right. Well, I'm going to let me outro the show because we're actually 3 minutes past done. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us who came in. On those of you who are going to listen to this on a recording, if you like what we do here, if you have any questions, remember to subscribe, hit like, make comments, and you can leave critiques. And by critiques, I mean a critique, not criticism. You guys, you know who you are when you come in and you say, oh, this is clickbait because you can't read the title. That's not my fault. That's your fault. You can't read it says review. You have my condolences. Remedial reading is free for everybody at most high schools. And
trolls will be eaten.
So tell your friends about us, share, and remember, let's see, how's that line go?
I mean, as the dragons gets hungry sometimes.
Let's see. Remember, you have no need to fear the darkness if you only know where to look to find the light.